otherwise known as the very individuals who kept him or keep him firmly in a lifestyle that is not conducive to staying out of prison.
Blame it on me. You're just too scared to be lonely. No one's safe from the
A young man ensconced in gang life has been given a chance to address his offending or risk going back to jail. Isn't it kind that they've allowed him to address his offending? We're not going to punish you for your offending, we're just going to allow you an opportunity to address it. Oh yes, okay. Cruz Nahona, who has been a Patch Nomad member for several years, appeared in the Palmerston North District Court on Thursday on charges of breaching release conditions, failing to stop, dangerous driving, unlawfully being inside a building, and possessing methamphetamine. Now, for me, it depends on how much methamphetamine. But we'll get into that. The heavily tattooed 21-year-old stood clasping his hands in the dock as defense lawyer Mark Alderdice argued for a sentence focused on rehabilitation. So the heavily tattooed 21, he argued for a sentence focused on rehabilitation. Here's an idea. Why not a sentence focused on rehabilitation whilst having a sentence which is appropriately punitive? Appropriately punitive. Right? You can do both. You can be punished for something by having your freedoms restricted, for example, incarceration, and also rehabilitate. Isn't that crazy? Who could have thought of that? Maybe it's just me. He is firmly ensconced in a lifestyle that is not conducive to him staying out of prison unless it is addressed. Well, here's an idea. Let's put him in prison for 6, 12 months, 2, 3 years. And whilst he's in there, we can work on ensuring that he can be released to a place which doesn't have him firmly ensconced in a lifestyle that is not conducive to him staying out of prison. That's one way to address it. But no, they want to do about it a different way, by leaving him in that lifestyle and addressing it at the same time, because that always works. Nahona was sentenced in October for serious offending related to an incident in January 2023 that featured the armed robbery of 2 vehicles and a police chase in the wider Manawatu. So at the very least, that's that's theft of a motor vehicle with a weapon. Don't know what that carries, but it's several years. But Alderdice said a sentence of intensive supervision would be tailored to address factors contributing to his offending, particularly his undiagnosed ADHD. ADHD to the rescue, just like with the Wellington Mayor. ADHD to the rescue. Next minute, I'm going to say I have ADHD and we should all say whoop-de-doo. What's funny, though, is these pricks can have undiagnosed ADHD and the left just say, oh, yeah, fair enough, let's give him a community-based sentence, let's not send him to prison. But as soon as I do something with severe mental illness that was undiagnosed for several years, it's lock him up and throw away the key because he has the wrong political views. Funny that, lefties. I'm consistent. I believe his undiagnosed ADHD is irrelevant. It's something that should be treated, but shouldn't prevent him from having a fair sentence, a fair amount of punishment. Punishment is important. It builds character. It really reinforces what you've done is wrong. Now, if there are elements in your life, be them psychological or cultural or environmental, that impact on you so that you have committed this act whereas you otherwise wouldn't have, well, that allows you to see where you need to improve, so that throughout that time that you're incarcerated, you can ensure those aren't going to be an issue when you're released. That doesn't mean you're exempt from the punishment. You still committed the act. Even if you're not really aware of it, you still committed the act. And when I say that, I mean people who are very severely mentally ill. You still need to have some form of punishment, some form of isolation from society until, one, there is believed to have been a fair punishment taken place, as well as you being rehabilitated. It's both, not one or the other. He said the latest offending was a continuation rather than an escalation of past behaviour. Wasn't that good to know? Isn't it good to know that armed robbery of motor vehicles isn't an escalation? He just started off like that from day dot. From day dot. When saying that, at this age, there is a problem. Alderdice believed a sentence of supervision would be an incentive to keep Nahona out of prison. Would it not? Would it not be an incentive to keep you out of prison by avoiding prison? Who knows? The majority of people I've ever met that went on supervision use that as a means of getting away with it, essentially. Saying, I'll just do my supervision time and then I'll improve my ability to commit crimes, and then as soon as they aren't watching, or as soon as I catch them slipping, I'll go out and do it again. More or less how they talk. Judge Ian Mills said the offending occurred on March 28 when Nahona fled police at 100 kph. See, the issue is, let's go back to the top. The issue is they're arguing, and it seems to be he's been given it, a supervision order. A supervision order. Despite charges of breaching release conditions. Let's give him something that he can easily breach in response to him breaching. This is the nonsensical decisions of our justice system. It makes no sense. Because of undiagnosed ADHD, you can get away with it. Because of undiagnosed ADHD, you can give the waiter in Wellington somewhere a gobby, right? You can just give him a gobby. ADHD is a get out of jail free card. I wish I had it. Not really. But yes, he breached his conditions, which were what kept him out of jail in the first place. And then he fled police at 100 kilometers per hour, and he 100% went faster at some point, no doubt. And I doubt this is on the motorway as well. So he's going very quick. Very quick. He was spotted on Monrad Street, where a large tree was blocking the road. But as officers attempted to stop him, he sped off, forcing members of the public to take evasive action. Oh, so now he's endangering people quite severely, to the point they have to actually evade him. He drove into a cul-de-sac in Highbury, crashing into a trampoline. How dare you crash into a trampoline? That is tragic. Running into a nearby home. Wow. The occupants saw him and threatened to call police, so he climbed back out the window. He came in. Well, at least we know he's a coward to some degree. He decided to run away. I mean, obviously he was on the run, so he's like, okay, I can't sit around here and mess with someone threatening to call the police, because the police are right behind me anyway. He climbed back out the window. He came in. He was eventually taken into custody and told police he panicked when he saw them, so kept on driving. Is that right, bro? You panicked so hard that you drove 100 k's down what I can only presume is as low as a 50k zone? As low? I don't know what Monrad Street's like and what the cul-de-sac was like, but a cul-de-sac, I'd say it's probably 50 k's max. Crashing into a trampoline, of all things. Poor bloody trampoline, I'll repeat. And then found yourself into someone's home before jumping out the window again because they threatened to call the cops. Credit to you, you didn't hurt the person in the home. That's about all you have got going for you, mate. When police searched the vehicle, they found a small amount of meth, so he's probably an addict, or at the very least has it on occasion, keep himself skinny. The judge said Nahona failed to attend a meeting with probation ahead of sentencing, but he was willing to give him another chance. Isn't that right, Judge? Well, you're a shit judge. There you go, I said it. Mr. Alderdice has convinced me that perhaps there is another way. Convinced you with that pathetic excuse of a defence. The problem is you haven't complied with sentences in the past. 100%, you're on to it now, Judge. He hasn't complied with sentences in the past. So why would he do it this time? This time you've got to do it or you'll be back. Oh, so we just give him multiple chances. That's the strategy here. Give him multiple chances. 21-year-old guy, recidivist offender. Oh yeah, he won't do it again. We may as well give him the opportunity to go on a, crime spree, shits and gigs, right? What have we got to lose? It's in his best interest, allegedly. On all charges, he was sentenced to intensive supervision for 12 months and was disqualified from driving for 18 months. A slap on the wrist. Alderdice confirmed he would be serving that at a Maxwell's Line address, a property frequented by nomads. And I think this brings me back to what I said earlier. Nahona was a young man and had to come to a turning point in his life, and with the support of his partner had a good chance at turning things around. He is firmly ensconced in a lifestyle that is not conducive to him staying out of prison unless it's addressed. The premise of keeping this guy out of prison is to ensure that he doesn't remain firmly ensconced in a lifestyle that is not conducive to him staying out of prison. It is about ensuring that he keeps away from all these bad influences. It's about ensuring that he doesn't reoffend. And the best way of doing that, apparently, and the judge agrees, is by sending him to a property frequented by nomads, otherwise known as the very individuals who kept him or keep him firmly in a lifestyle that is not conducive to staying out of prison. The entire point of keeping him out of prison was because apparently this is a better strategy to turn his life around than prison time. And all they've done is make sure he maintains the status quo. He will continue to offend, and this time next year or a year or two from now, he will be in prison. Because this judge decided, you know what, I could have sentenced you to, 2-3 years with a chance of parole after 1. I could have done that. And maybe you actually would have turned your life around at that point. Instead, you're going to reoffend, be it a year from now or more, and it's going to be much, much worse. And I'm going to have to sentence you to a minimum of 5, 6, 7 years. All of a sudden, you're not going to see freedom again until you're in your 30s. Maybe in your late 20s at best. But all because this judge decided to be a soft cock piece of useless shit. Some shit's actually useful. For example, North Korea sending it over in balloons to South Korea. Now, I just wanted to come up with a bunch of insults because of how sick of these judges I am. There is absolutely no logic to that decision. That decision is what reinforces recidivism in this country. People blame prisons for recidivism. This sort of bullshit reinforces bad behavior. It is absolutely insane that this judge has a job. That decision alone should have him sacked. That's absolutely disgusting. The amount of young people, 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 21, 22, 23, amount of young people that I know with so much potential, they can provide so much value to society, but are stuck in this cycle because of stupid decisions like this. It pisses me off. Now, fortunately, I know some people who, even though they are still loosely affiliated or even a little bit more affiliated with gangs, they actually have got their shit together for the most part. Now, they're still at risk of reoffending and getting caught up with the bad shit. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that once involved with gangs, there's always going to be some degree of a connection. Particularly if it's family, right? So I understand that. So that's why acknowledging that some people will still have people that they affiliate with to some extent that are gang members, that I can understand, and that doesn't mean you're going to fail and that you're not going to be able to stay out of prison, but you're giving yourself a much better shot if you can go completely cold turkey on that life, completely cold turkey on people involved with that stuff. But judges like this are a problem. Judges like this need to have their jobs taken away from them. Because that is just pathetic. He's just condemned that 21-year-old nomad to a life of crime. Or at the very least, a few more years of it. It's just not good enough.
Blame it on me. You're just too scared to be lonely. No one's safe from the reaper. Not a saint nor a sinner. Rage under my skin, slowly descending to madness. Let it spread like a virus. Be a friend with the violence. Help, there's blood on my hands. Some